Hello students, welcome to TYPSC Immunology class. The topic for today's lecture is organs of immune system, where we shall study in details about the primary lymphoid organs. After this lecture, the students should be able to classify the lymphoid organs as primary lymphoid organs and secondary lymphoid organs, or central lymphoid organs and the peripheral lymphoid organs. In addition to this, the students should be able to explain in detail the structure of the thymus and the bone marrow. They should also be able to explain the function of primary lymphoid organs, and they should be able to explain the selection process of mature lymphocytes within both the thymus and the bone marrow. So let us start with the lymphoid system. Immune system is a system that consists of immune cells that continuously circulate between the blood and the lymphoid organs. Similarly, the lymphatic system is a system that consists of lymphatic organs or the lymphoid organs and the circulating clear fluid, which is called as the lymph. This lymph is nothing but the liquid portion of the blood that comes out of the vascular system and enters into the tissue space. This lymph is carried by the lymphatic system to the lymphoid organs. The lymphoid organs are classified into two types, the primary lymphoid organs and the secondary lymphoid organs. The primary or the central lymphoid organs is one type of lymphoid organ. The secondary or the peripheral lymphoid organs are the other type of lymphoid organs. The primary lymphoid organs include the thymus, where the T lymphocytes mature, and the bone marrow, where the B cells mature. The secondary lymphoid organs are divided into two types, well-organized tissue, which is referred to as the organs, and diffused tissue. The organs of the secondary lymphoid system include the spleen, which enables the body to fight against the antigen that is present in the blood, and the lymph nodes, which fight against the antigen when the antigen is present in the lymph. The diffuse tissues include MALT, that is mucus associated lymphoid tissue, the CALT, that is the cutaneous associated lymphoid tissue, the tonsils, which is an intermediate between the diffused tissue and the organs, so it is not a well-formed organ, neither it is a diffused tissue, that is the tonsils, and you have the Peyer's patches, which is again a diffused tissue. The primary lymphoid organs are the organs in which the cells are educated. The B as well as the T cells, they mature within the primary lymphoid organs. They become immunocompetent cells, and within the lymphoid organs, they are educated to differentiate between the self and the non-self antigens and to mount an immune response against the antigens. So all the lymphocytes, whether it is B lymphocyte or it is a T lymphocyte, all these lymphocytes originate within the bone marrow. We've studied the process of hematopoiesis, in which we studied that the cells of the lymphoid lineage are the cells that are produced within the bone marrow, where the hematopoietic stem cell differentiates into a common lymphoid progenitor cell, which differentiates into a small lymphocyte and a large lymphocyte. The small lymphocytes further differentiate into the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes. So whether it is a B lymphocyte or it is a T lymphocyte, the cells originate within the bone marrow. After the cells are formed in the bone marrow, the T lymphocytes leave the bone marrow and enter into the circulation. There are minute capillaries that penetrate within the bone. So from these capillaries, along with the blood, the cells are removed from the bone marrow, or the cells enter into the blood And via the circulation, the T lymphocytes enter into the thymus. Within the thymus, these T cells undergo advanced education. That is, the T cells are educated within the thymus. When the T cell is educated within the thymus and undergoes the two tests, the positive selection and the negative selection test within the thymus, the cell becomes an immunocompetent cell. So, a mature T cell that matures within the thymus is referred to as an immunocompetent T lymphocyte. But B cells, which are produced within the bone marrow, remain inside the bone marrow and undergo maturation and education within the bone marrow. And because they are formed within the bone marrow and educated within the bone marrow, you can say that the B cells are homeschooled, where they are taught to differentiate between the self and the non-self. And if they pass the test, these cells become mature immunocompetent cells, and these immunocompetent cells, they leave the bone marrow and enter into the circulation, where they can come in contact with the antigen and help in the elimination of the antigen. Whether it is a T lymphocyte or it is a B lymphocyte, both have to undergo maturation in the respective lymphoid organs, and for this maturation they require the intimate contact with the stromal cells. So these stromal cells within the bone marrow are the cells that are in very close contact with the B cells and help the B cells to mature and educate the B cells, while the stromal cells that are present in the thymus are responsible for the maturation and education of the T lymphocytes. So the thymus and the bone marrow are referred to as educational centers of the lymphocytes. We shall study in detail the structure of the thymus. Now this thymus, which is a site for the maturation of the T lymphocytes, is located in the upper part of the chest, behind the sternum and above the heart. You can see in this figure that the thymus is located above the heart. The thymus is a flat and bilobed organ. Both the lobes of the thymus are surrounded by a capsule which is made up of connective tissue. Right? This capsule penetrates inside the lobes and divides the lobe into lobules. The part of the capsule that penetrates into the lobes are referred to as the trabeculae. That is, the trabeculae divide the lobe into lobules. Here you can see a transverse section of one lobe which is divided into a number of lobules with the help of the trabeculae that penetrate inside the thymus. This lobule is organized into, each lobule is organized into two compartments. The outer compartment is referred to as the cortex, while the inner compartment is referred to as the medulla. The cortex is densely populated with immature thymocytes, while the medulla is sparsely populated and the cells that are present are the mature lymphocytes. So within the cortex the cells are immature cells, but inside the medulla the cells are mature cells. Now there is no such exact demarcation that will demarcate that this particular portion is the cortex and this particular portion is the medulla. But to differentiate between the cortex and medulla, in between the two compartments, a number of stromal cells, epithelial cells, the dendritic cells and the macrophages, they form a very dense network of cells. And so this dense network of cells, you can say, is the margin between the cortex and the medulla. Right. The cortex, which is densely populated with immature thymocytes, is a region where the thymocytes undergo maturation. Right? So the thymocytes, they grow within the cortex, Within the cortex, there are certain thymic epithelial cells which are referred to as the nurse cell. The nurse, in simple terms, we say that a person who takes care of small children or children who are weak or people who are weak is a nurse. So similarly, the epithelial cells that are present in the thymus, they bind with a number of thymocytes. Around 50 thymocytes are in intimate contact with one nurse cell. And this nurse cell, which is nothing but a stromal cell of the thymus, is a cell that secretes a number of cytokines and provides the environment such that it leads to the maturation of the thymocytes. The thymocyte, the nurse cells or the stromal cells within the thymus are the cells that produce hormones like thymosin, thymoline and thymopoietin, which are responsible for the maturation of the T lymphocyte. These cells also are in intimate contact with the developing thymocytes, and therefore the hormones that are secreted by these cells help in the maturation of the T cells. In addition to this, within the thymus, the T cell receptors, they undergo a diversity, or diversity is generated in the receptors, because there are various different types of genes that make up the structure of the T cell receptors. Right? And these genes include the variable genes, the V genes, the diversity genes, that is the D genes, the J gene segments, that is the joining genes. Right? So depending upon the organization of the V, D and the J genes, a number of varieties of T cell receptors with different specificities towards different antigens are produced, and thus diversity is generated in the T cell receptors within the thymus. Because when the cells are maturing within the thymus, a number of markers are obtained by the T cells, in which some of the markers are there on the T cells for a limited period of time, while the other receptors are the receptors or markers that are present throughout the life of the T cells. So one such marker is the T cell receptor. Right? And diversity is introduced in these receptors within the thymus. To educate the cells is another important function of the thymus, where the T cells that mature within the thymus are educated to differentiate between the self-MHC antigens and the non-self MHC complexes or antigen MHC complexes. And whichever cells they fail to pass the examinations are incapable cells, and therefore such cells are eliminated from the thymus and are not allowed to enter into the circulation. The immune function of the thymus was studied with relation to the thymectomy that took place, that was introduced into the mice. Experimental neonatal thymectomy was performed in a newborn mice or a neonatal mice. Right? That means the thymus of the newborn mice was removed as soon as the newborn baby was formed. The relation between the immune function and the thymus was studied with experiments performed on mice, where a neonatal mice had undergone a thymectomy. That is, immediately after the birth of the mice, the thymus of the mice was removed, and such mice showed decreased in circulating T lymphocytes and absence of cell-mediated immunity within the animal as the animal grew. In human beings, in the DiGeorges syndrome, similar type of conditions were observed. Digeorges syndrome is a syndrome in which there is aplasia, congenital aplasia of the thymus. That means during the birth itself, the thymus does not develop properly. And because the thymus does not develop properly, there are no circulating T lymphocytes that are formed in the system. And when there are no T cells that are formed, there is no cell mediated immunity that is generated. We've seen that there are subtypes of the T cells, and one of the subtype of the T cell, that is the TC cell, is involved in the cell mediated immune response, where the TC cell has an ability to lyse the antigen. So if there are no TC cells, there is no cell mediated immunity, and because there is no cell mediated immunity, increase in infectious diseases is observed in a person suffering from the Digeorges syndrome, that is congenital aplasia of the thymus. And thus it can be concluded that the thymus is related to the immune function. If your thymus is properly working, your immune system will work properly. Another observation that led to the findings that the thymus is involved in the immune response is the involution of the thymus. It was observed that the thymus weighs around 70 grams, that is, the highest weight of the thymus is seen in the infants, while in the elderly individuals, the weight of the thymus is very less, that is, approximately 3 grams. The thymus reaches its maximum size at puberty. That is, as the age increases, the thymus reaches its maximum activity. At puberty, the thymus starts atrophying. Because of the atrophy in the thymus, because of the involution in the thymus, there is decrease in the cortical as well as the medullary thymocytes or the T lymphocytes. When there is a decrease in the cortical as well as the medullary T lymphocytes, the amount of infection that occurs in the individual also increases. And all this is related to the functioning of the thymus, which decreases because of the increase in the fat content of the organ. Another experimental evidence that shows that the thymus is involved in the immune responses, it was studied with mice, where a young mice was thymectomized in the experiment, and there were 2 sets actually of the mice that were taken. Each of the mice was given a thymus. The control mice was given a thymus of a 33 months old mice, while another mice was given the thymus of a 1 day old mice. It was observed that the mouse that had obtained the thymus from the 1 day old mice was more active than the other mice who had received the thymus of a 33-month-old mice. This shows that as the age increases, the thymus atrophies, and because of the atrophy in the thymus, the function of the thymus also decreases. Now, all the T cells that enter into the thymus and mature within the cortex are exposed to examinations. As we said, that the thymus is an organ in which the T cells are educated. Right? So the first test that the thymus has to undergo is a positive selection test. In this positive selection test, it is seen whether the thymus can recognize the self-MHC molecules or not. Because unless and until the T lymphocytes or the thymocytes do not recognize the self-MHC molecules, they will not be able to mount an immune response, or they will not be able to activate the immune responses. So initially, we've seen that within the thymus, when the cells are maturing, they acquire and they lose a number of receptors. So all the T cells that mature within the thymus and are present in the cortical region are referred to as the double positive thymocytes. This is because They contain, in addition to the T cell receptors, the CD4 molecules as well as the CD8 molecules. A T helper cell is a cell that possesses CD4 molecules, and the TC cell is a cell that possesses the CD8 molecule. So initially, both CD4 as well as the CD8 molecules are present in the T cells, and therefore the T cells are referred to as the double positive thymocytes. These double positive thymocytes undergo a positive selection test in which they have to recognize the class 1 and the class 2 MHC molecules. Now, because they possess both CD4 and CD8 molecules, they should recognize both class 1 as well as the class 2 MHC molecules. Those T cells that recognize the class 1 and class 2 MHC molecules, they pass the examination, while those T cells that cannot recognize the self MHC molecules, they die by a process which is referred to as the apoptosis or programmed cell death. All the T cells that pass the examination, they survive, and these cells that survive undergo certain differentiation mechanisms in which they lose one of the receptors from them, either the CD4 plus or the CD8 receptor. So a double positive thymocyte, after the thymocyte passes the first examination of positive selection, becomes a single positive cell or is converted into a single positive cell, which will be either CD4 marker or the CD8 marker along with the T cell receptors. Now, once the cell becomes a single positive cell, the cell is exposed to another examination, and that examination is referred to as the negative selection process, in which the single positive cell comes in contact with the antigen presenting cells. Antigen presenting cells that are present are the cells that are present in between the cortex and the medulla, right, which include the dendritic cells as well as the macrophages. Now, out of these macrophages and dendritic cells, the dendritic cells are more efficient or work more efficiently in the negative selection process, because these dendritic cells have an ability to express the peptide on the surface of the dendritic cell along with class 1 MHC with class 2 MHC. That is, both class 1 and class 2 MHC molecules are expressed on the dendritic cells, and peptides may be the self antigen or a external antigen may be presented with the MHC molecules. Those cells, usually the dendritic cells, express the self peptide with the MHC molecules, and those cells that interact very strongly with the peptide MHC molecules are the cells that cannot recognize the self antigen and the non-self antigen. And because they do not recognize the self between the self and the non-self antigen, they react to the self antigen and start proliferating against the self antigen. Such cells may cause problem to the individual, and therefore such cells which show a strong interaction with the peptide MHC complexes on the dendritic cells are eliminated from the process by the process of apoptosis or the programmed cell death. Around 95% of the cells that pass the positive selection test fail to pass the negative selection test, and therefore 95% of the cells that mature within the cortex, when they come into the medulla, are killed by the process of apoptosis, and only a few cells survive, and these cells are the cells that are immunocompetent cells, which have an ability to differentiate between the self antigen and the non-self antigen, and because they recognize the difference between self and non-self, they do not proliferate in response to the self antigens, and such T cells are allowed to enter into the circulation via the medulla. So the positive selection test occurs in the region between the cortex and the medulla, where there is a network, a thick network of stromal cells, epithelial cells, dendritic cells, and the macrophages. If the cell passes this examination from the cortex, it enters into the medulla, and before it enters into the medulla, it has to undergo the negative selection process also within the same marginal layer, and after it passes the negative selection test, the mature T lymphocyte or the thymocyte enters inside the medulla, and from the medulla it goes into the circulation where it can interact with the antigens. The second primary lymphoid organ that is present in the humans is the bone marrow. While a similar organ that is responsible for the maturation and education of the B cells in the birds is the bursa of Fabricius. In the humans, bone marrow; in the birds, it is bursa of Fabricius. And because it was observed that the B cells origin and develop in the bursa of Fabricius, these cells were initially referred to as the B cells. But later it was found that in the humans and mammals, bone marrow is the site for the origin and development of the B cells, and therefore appropriately these cells are referred to as the B cells. Within the bone marrow, we have seen that hematopoiesis occurs, and therefore all the blood cells are derived in the bone marrow. After the formation of the cells in the bone marrow, the other types of cells, they leave the bone marrow and enter into the circulation. But the B cells remain in the bone marrow, they mature within the bone marrow, and after the maturation of the B cells in the bone marrow, they are educated to differentiate between the self and the non-self antigens. After they pass the test, or once they are educated, the process of selection is a process which eliminates the unwanted or the B cells that do not differentiate between the self and the non-self, that is, B cells that are reactive against the self antigens and can produce antibodies against the self antigens are eliminated by the process of apoptosis. For the development of the B cell in the bone marrow, it requires the cytokines that are secreted by the stromal cells. Mainly the interleukin 7 is the cytokine that is required for the B cell to mature within the bone marrow. So when the B cell is maturing in the bone marrow, it is in intimate contact with the stromal cells. So the stromal cells provide a microenvironment that is suitable for the development of the B cell. And B cells after maturation leave the bone marrow as immunocompetent B cells which have an ability to differentiate between the self and the non-self antigens, as well as to mount an immune response against the non-self antigens. The bone marrow is nothing but a soft tissue in the hollow interiors of the bone. At birth, most of the bone marrow is red in color, mainly in the flat bones, the hip bones, the breast bones, the shoulder blades, and the proximal ends of the femur and the humerus. Within this red marrow actually is the site where the different types of cells are formed. As the age increases, there is decrease in the bone marrow, red bone marrow, and this red bone marrow becomes replaced by the yellow marrow. Initially, the amount of yellow marrow is less, right? But as the age increases, the yellow marrow also increases and overtakes the red marrow, right? And therefore, as the age increases, the amount of the red marrow in the bone, it decreases. And because the amount of red marrow in the bone decreases, the number of cells that are produced in the bone marrow also, they decrease, and thus the immune response against the specific antigens also reduces as the age increases. So like the thymus shows involution or the thymus atrophies as the age increases, in the same way the yellow marrow in the bone also increases, leading to the reduction in the red marrow, which is the site for the production of the cells. It also decreases, thus leading to decrease in the immune response or decrease in response to the infections. This is all about the structure and function of the primary lymphoid organs. Hope you have understood the primary lymphoid organs. These are a few references that I have used for this lecture. Thank you.